That was like
wild. I
'cause
can't
it was
believe
like
you made
the
it.
first one I did was like because you know how the 2 and the 20 are next to each
Yeah,
other. It
yeah,
rolled
yeah.
against the dice bag and it was like perfectly
Right, just kind of
like
in between them, and you're
in
like, I
between them,
need
and I'm
that.
like,
I needed
and I'm
that.
like, and I'm like, okay, so I did it.
Jax will not die.
Not today, at least, and I don't want Riergan to either.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We're up and we're recording. Let us see
Okay, come on, Riergan.
all of Riergan's fate on this.
What was it?
Riergan has passed.
Okay, a question though.
Yeah.
When you spent that coin to have me re-roll, did
Uh-huh.
that stay with you or go to me?
I spent it, so it exchanged to you.
So Riergan is re-rolling that death saving throw. Have 2 coins again, Dave.
Do you want to roll it, or do you want me to? You
You
did
roll
just
this
get
one.
two 20s in a row.
Yeah, I'm not pushing my luck.
Crit 20. Crit 20.
Yes! Yes!
Oh no.
Riergan!
Yeah. So her eyes just ever so slowly open up. And she's like, oh. And in Goblin, she's like, what hit me? A truck?
Riergan, I don't speak Goblin, but thank God you're alive. Really should learn that one of these days.
She's like, drag me in common. She's like, drag me out of the spider hole. I'm very badly hurt.
You got it. I will. That other room we were in with like the weird blood god statue thing.
Yeah, everybody's favorite room.
That seemed safe enough,
Yeah.
and it's close.
Yeah.
So I will drag.
Yeah, she right before you do that, I'm gonna cheat as the DM ever so slightly. Pulls out her dagger and stabs the spider in just like this vicious slashing sawing motion, and she just pops its head off and just makes this awful wet squelch noise after the cracking of the carapace. And she's like, okay, drag me to the room.
You got it. That's fine. Yeah. I will drag Riergan to the room, and I believe we would at this point take a short rest.
A short rest, you say?
Short rest. I will be standing guard, scimitars drawn.
All right, I'm rolling 19 or 20 wandering encounter.
And uh-oh.
It's another crit 20.
God damn it. All right.
It begins.
All righty. Well, good thing I have health.
Mm-hmm.
And Riergan can stand in the back.
So I will devil's bargain this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a wandering encounter chart for the dungeon, depending on what level you're on. Mm-hmm. But I would much rather use the chart for the statue. Are you good with that?
There's a chart for the statue?
Yeah. So while you're like stoically guarding the wall and looking at the looking down the hallway ever so carefully, right? Mm-hmm. She has like clambered up and placed the dead spider statue or head on the statue, and
that sounds far more fun.
Yeah, on the open palm. And then somewhere in the distance, this is what alerts you to it, right? You hear like a little more satisfactory like and then the movement of something, pipes, cogs, right? Gears, wheels, weights in the distance as something has changed in the mega dungeon.
What?
And the statue puts its hand away.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
And Riergan's like, okay, may have done something wrong here.
It's fine. All right. Oh boy.
So what do you do?
Is that short rest? Is short rest considered completed here, or
no? This encounter interrupts it.
Okay. I'm like, oh well, this is something. Mm-hmm. The statue. Did I see the statue move or no?
Roll perception.
Perception is so a 9. I have a feeling I did not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I'm too busy.
You heard enough moving that you turned to try and figure out what the hell was happening, right? Like,
hey, Riergan, don't die, please.
Yeah, and she's just like, Jax.
Yeah, what?
Um, the statue, you saw its hand outstretched because it was still there
Mm-hmm.
from before with the 2 coins on it, though they are gone now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and forming underneath the statue, remember it's 13 feet tall, so just kind of like in its shadow, are just these swirling motes of dust, and then like little rocks, and then like whatever like wooden and leather tatters and debris, right, exists, and it has swarmed up into this vaguely humanoid shape, right, of this like eerily perfect symmetrical feminine form, right? As it just stares at you and kind of just regards itself for a moment, inspecting its physical form.
Riergan, what, 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 what is this?
Just like dust woman.
True. No, yeah, no, that's true. Um,
Do you speak Sylvan?
I do not, nor
Ah,
does Riergan, I believe. I
okay,
speak Common, Elvish, Undercommon, and Draconic.
nice. So, uh, what is it? Does it? What do you think of what happens to Jax when you hear like the sweet songs of like the deep woods, like the danger of the forest incarnate?
I don't. I imagine Jax has probably heard Sylvan once or twice and
Mm-hmm.
might even recognize it, but just does not know a word. Um, so this could go one of a few ways. She could try to murder the heck out of us, or maybe offer us some fine berries, which could then murder us. Or any number of things. Most of them end in murdering us, but I don't want to be particular. Like, I don't want to be rude because, like, assuming that I do recognize it as Sylvan, I've like the Fae do a lot of weird stuff with hospitality, and like I don't want to like break hospitality rules, but we are in a dungeon, so he's like very like he's very on guard. He had his swords drawn. I don't think he's gonna rush her and like try and take swings at her, but like I imagine would try Elven and say like, "You don't speak Elven, do you?" And then no response. Probably then also try Draconic and Undercommon.
Mm,
And Common would be his final that he would not really expect to work.
sure.
But
Yeah, so she says something, right?
mhm.
And it's like the shrill shrieking of wind going through like autumn trees.
Mhm.
And then you ask, "Do you speak in Elven? Do you speak Elvish?"
Mhm.
And she nods once.
Oh, that makes it easier. Hello. It is nice to meet you.
Yeah, and she does a bit of a flourish, right? Kind of extends her hands upwards, like she's doing a little pirouette or something, and she says, "I am Sanguina."
Ah. So, I don't mean to be rude. Do you happen to know who this statue is of by any chance?
She turns and she looks at it and says, well, I know he was very rude." And
Oh,
she
my apologies.
reaches into his robes, which just she seems to be able to reach right through them. And she
Okay.
produces just a very neat folded letter.
Letter.
Yeah, with the wax seal that has been broken. And she says, "We invited him to the summer
Mhm.
court, and he
Oh,
ignored us."
oh, that's
And she
not polite.
tosses the letter towards you. Roll dex save.
Deck save. I fumble that letter real bad. A 9.
So you
Uh,
do not capture it in time. I think it's more that you're expecting it to move quick, and it moves just like a letter.
and I'm like, yeah. Dex might or Jax might be dexterous, but
Not
he,
today.
he he he's honed for combat, not letter catching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, as I'm like kind of getting it off the floor, I'm like, well, it is rude to ignore an invitation from the summer court.
She nods. She says, "So why?" And she turns and she looks at Riergan, And she scowls angrily. She says, an unclaimed. Why are you here, little one?
What language does she say that in?
She says it in Elven still.
I would turn to Riergan, and would say in common, because I believe that's the only language Riergan and I share.
Yeah,
Uh, Riergan, she referred to you as an unclaimed and asked why you are here.
right. And Riergan like scowls when you say that, and she's like,
Is that it? We we should be at least somewhat polite. She's of the summer court, Riergan.
she's calling me an orphan.
Oh gosh, that's what that means?
Kinda. It's not exactly the
Oh,
same, but yes.
oh. Are you wait, what is Riergan an orphan? I don't know. Jax might be an orphan. He doesn't know. That would fit in his traumatic backstory.
Yeah.
I guess, and I'll turn back to the Dust Lady, and respond in common. That we are traveling through. That she is my traveling companion. We're traveling and exploring this ruin to see what secrets it holds.
It's very ugly here. It kind of smells.
You're not wrong. There were some very, very ugly giant spiders earlier as well. They're nasty, those ones.
Well, and she reaches back into the statue, and
Hmm.
she seems to pull out more things. Go ahead and roll a perception really quick.
That is a 12.
Okay, so you definitely saw a sword, right, come out
Oh.
of it, and you were definitely like, but you didn't get a very good look at it. You just saw
Mhm.
it had a heart pommel,
Oh, that's
and
pretty.
two rubies on either side of the hilt, the crossguard
It
thing.
might just be yeah. It might just be the cross guard or the hand guard.
Yeah.
Oh, that would make sense. He seems like the kind to have a sword.
Yeah, and so she puts that away and she grabs something else, but you missed it because you didn't roll very good. And then
Yeah.
finally, she just settles on like a leather pouch. She nods
Mhm.
and says, "Well, if you're injured," and she casts what you recognize as Goodberry.
Aha! Wonderful.
And then she
Oh,
starts
thank.
eating them.
I would ask if. Oh wait. Oh no. Are these safe to eat? Oh, I don't know if it would be rude of me to ask. Was she? Did she seem like she was offering them, or? Oh
Yeah, she's
no.
just smiling at you.
And like Jax almost over exaggerates the looking, like looking at the berries and looking at her and like thinking and looking at Riergan, and he'd probably at the end of it just be like, I don't know. Etiquette's never been my forte.
She says, "Yeah, you can totally have one, but you know, there's always rules."
I I really could go for a good berry right now, but I will. I wouldn't want to uh take anything from her. I wouldn't want to be rude or to impose. He'd say something along those lines, that he wouldn't want to impose or take things from her, but that he appreciates the offer.
Yeah, she nods and says, "Oh no, I'm happy to share. Please, here." And she gives each of you two.
May there's some kind of Jax is having a dilemma over magic berries.
It's pretty on brand.
Yeah.
So as you lock eyes with her, go ahead and roll a wisdom saving throw.
Oh no. Oh, that is a failure. That is a 7.
So you are currently charmed by
That
Sanguina.
sounds right. That sounds right.
I would go so far as to say let's think about it, but I am curious if Jax finds Sanguina conventionally attractive, or this is merely just infatuation by
I
way of spell.
I think it's a little like infatuation by way of spell, a little like she is like the kind of elegance and grace of a magical creature, kind of.
Gotcha.
Sort of like you see like a tiger or something. You're like, wow, they're really graceful, impressive. It's like a thing of natural beauty.
Okay.
Like you don't have the hots for the Grand Canyon, but it's still beautiful.
So at the beginning of every episode in most D&Ds, I try and like do a funny little thing, right, to like get people hooked. And like that is probably the weirdest thing that's ever been said on the Electric Dice podcast.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, Jax is definitely. I am assuming she probably would be asking him to eat one, if not both, of the berries. That feels like.
Oh, she doesn't care about the berries. She just wants you wrapped around her finger.
Oh,
So
poor Jax.
she puts her hand through your hair, right? She starts a caress and then she turns into just like running her fingers through your hair, and she does that a few times, and you're like, it's not like the worst, and I am trying to be polite.
Yeah,
And,
like it's like a fall breeze through the trees of my hair.
yeah. And when the camera pulls away, we see that you have a giant white streak, like a skunk, down through the middle of your dark hair.
Oh my god.
And she giggles a very cute giggle that I cannot replicate
Uh-huh.
as an adult human man. And she says,
Okay.
You're going to see me 5 more times before I'll finally leave you alone. And at the
Delightful.
end, in the end of the 5th time, well, I guess it'd be the end of the 6th time. At the end of the 6th time, you're going to have to choose.
Well, decisions make life interesting, you know.
Yeah. She says, think of me fondly. And she just sort of vanishes
I
in a
think
poof
that's the magic.
of dust.
Am I still charmed by her when she departs, or?
Yeah, we're going to
Wonderful.
cut on the next episode of you doodling in your journal, like,
Oh my god.
Jax plus Sanguina equals less
my
than
god.
3. And then
Oh my
Riergan's
god.
like, you don't understand math.
I sure don't. I can count to some big numbers though, and okay, I never took a formal math class. All right,
Nice.
I took adventure math.
All
If
right.
Johnny has 10 hit points,